All right, let's talk about the Electoral College system. The Electoral College system is a system that we currently use in the United States to elect our president. Now, what is the Electoral College? Well, it's a group of electors who are actual people who vote for the president. There are 538 of them, to be exact, and they're the ones who actually decide who gets to be the president of the United States. This group of electors is made up of electors from each that are sent from each state to convene and vote on the president. Each state gets electors based on a few factors. The first is the amount of senators they have in the Senate. Since all 50 states have 2 senators, each state gets 2 electors. The rest come from the amount of representatives that state has in the House of Representatives. Larger states with larger populations will have more representatives and therefore more electors in the Electoral College. For instance, California has 55 electors compared to Alaska, which only has 3. When voting time comes around, a state will tally up all its votes from all the people who voted in that state. It will then decide which candidate had the majority vote in that state. All of the electors for that state will then go towards that candidate. So in California's situation, if the Democratic candidate won, all 55 of California's Electoral College votes would go towards the Democratic candidate. We say Electoral College votes, meaning that all the electors from California are expected, they don't have to, but they're expected to vote according to what the majority opinion of the state is. So if California chose the Democratic candidate, all 55 of those electors should technically vote for the Democratic candidate when it comes time for them to vote on the president. Now, this is all kind of an oddly complicated way to vote for our president. You'd think that we would just directly vote and they calculate the popular vote. And they do that. But what the Electoral College system does is it allows the election process to be more streamlined. By only having 538 electors cast their votes, there are less votes to tally in the end, meaning there's a smaller margin of error. Also, if it's a very close race, they don't have to recalculate the entire nation's votes, but rather just certain states. Say that the majority opinion was very close in the state of Florida, they would just recalculate those votes and then change the electors' votes accordingly. However, more importantly, there are some major downsides to the Electoral College system. The number one being that it is technically possible for a candidate to become president without actually receiving the majority of votes from the people of America. This has happened not once but 3 times in history. The reason for this is that when a candidate wins by only a small margin in a state, say 49% for the Democrats and 51% for the Republicans, all of that state's electors go to the Republican Party, meaning that all those Democratic votes didn't really end up counting towards the Democratic Party. This means that a candidate could win by these narrow margins and gain enough electoral votes to actually win the presidential election without actually winning the popular vote based on the people. And the reason we know this is because all the votes are tallied up in the end, but it's just the electors that end up deciding. It is fairly clear that this glaring issue needs a solution, but that is much harder than some might think. See, the simplest solution would be to make everybody's vote counts towards the national election, which is decided by a simple majority. However, this kind of direct democracy approach would require an amendment to the Constitution, as it would abolish the Electoral College system. Unfortunately, it is extremely difficult to amend the Constitution, which is why it doesn't happen very often. It actually needs a 3/4 majority from the vote from the states and 2/3 majority in the Congress to amend the Constitution, which is a process that would be time-consuming, and we wouldn't get the results very quickly, if at all. So, the best solution, immediate solution to the problems with the Electoral College system would be to use a plan called, would be to use the idea of the National Bonus Plan. This idea was proposed by a historian by the name of Arthur, I'm going to screw this up, Schlesinger Jr. His idea would be to award bonus electoral college votes to candidates who won the majority, the people's majority, the majority votes. So this would not be abolishing the Electoral College system, and therefore it wouldn't require an amendment. It would just be slightly altering it. And what this would do is it would allow it would award 102 bonus elector votes. Think about it. So there's 270 to win. It would award 102 bonus elector votes to whatever candidate won the simple majority, which would make it so that a candidate cannot just use electoral votes to win. They also have to have that majority opinion from the people.